prosperity blueprint. The prosperity blueprint. The prosperity blueprint. The prosperity blueprint.
Welcome, everybody, to the Prosperity Blueprint. I am Dr. Rasheda Jackson, your host. I want to welcome you to the show where faith meets financial strategy. I am excited about tonight's show, and each week we're going to break down real life principles behind building wealth, strengthening relationships, growing businesses, and creating legacy God's way without the guesswork. Tonight, I have an amazing guest with me, and he's not just amazing because he is related to me, but he's amazing because he's a bright and brilliant young man who is a creative, who has so many gifts and talents, and he has started to hone in on his crafts as he is building a brand new business. And so tonight, in week 2, we're going to talk about relationships in business. So we're going to talk about the family dynamic in business and why it's important, how we keep business, and how we do it as family, making sure that the main thing remains the main thing. So tonight, I want to introduce you to Mr. Rah Whitehead, also known as Rah, the CEO of Talent Over Cloud and Rapid RX. So welcome him to the stage.
Hey, everybody. Great to be here. Couldn't have introduced myself better, so thank you, Dr. Jackson. And I am just humbled to here on the show, and any insight I can offer to the topic, I'm happy to do so.
So I'm excited for you to be here, and we're going to talk about a new business that you're building. But today's week 2 is about relationships in business, and in building a blueprint, you know that you can't do things really without the relationships that you attach yourself to as you are building, or as you're doing anything, dreams, putting things together, laying things out, because a blueprint is really just a drawing for how we're going to accomplish the main goal. So I'm going to jump right into the questions because time is of the essence, and we want to be able to make sure that we make this a valuable content filled event for everybody that's listening in. So what is it like? What has it been like building businesses? Because you built multiple businesses. You just don't take credit for the amount of business that you built. But what has it been like building a business while being my son, not just a client and a partner?
So I'd say there's 2 different feelings when building a business. When you're building a business for yourself and when you're building a business for somebody else. I think often when people see workers on jobs or people who are in middle management or upper management, they don't realize how much of the business exists in the way that it does because of ideas and inputs and things from people of all different levels of the ladder, right? So when building a business for somebody else, it was fulfilling in the sense that you get to see the everyday inner workings. You get to see all the people getting dirty hands and bruises and bumps as the building grows and expands, and then the business grows and expands, and so on and so forth. So that's always really, really rewarding. But when you're building a business for yourself, it's a completely different experience, and it's a lot of bittersweet because now all the mistakes and the difficulties and the good and the bad all comes in one big pot, and it's not so separate, and so you're not so shielded from it as you are when you're building a business for somebody else.
So what we want to bring into the discussion is the family dynamic. So in doing so, and you talked about building a business for somebody else and building one for yourself, how different it is. How does your family dynamic and really just being my son, how does that help you in a real honest way that people can understand how we interact together in this business, in this world of business that we both operate in?
So when you're young, you don't understand what it means to be an entrepreneur, right? You don't understand how many hours it takes, how much dedication it takes. And sometimes that's difficult. So when you have an entrepreneur mother who also worked a full-time job, right? You don't understand where sometimes, maybe Chuck E. Cheese wasn't the place to go that day because and mom got, there's stuff to figure out, right? But you're young, you understand, and you just want every day for you to have access to, right? So when I was growing up, it was difficult to understand how important the time you is put into your personal business was. And now that I'm an adult and I build business for myself, and I know that that's for my future generations and my family, I'm really, really like humbled by that thought process, because I went from not understanding and maybe saying, "Hey, I wish you would just sit on the couch and I come home and we watch TV," right? Really understanding what you were trying to do and what you were trying to create, not for yourself but for your children. So that's my answer for that one. Being
Okay.
yourself, that it was bitter and then sweet.
So in the place where you are now and taking that into consideration, because one of the things that I'm a stickler on is trying to, it's very hard when you're, because when I was building business while you were growing up, I was young and
Mhm.
learning and going through the bumps and bruises and dragging you guys along. And so it was really hard to find any balance. I couldn't find the balance of things. So when we look at it now, what do you think one of the most important things you learned about watching that journey that affects how you handle your businesses today?
I think balance is a great word, right? It's because it's something that's rarely achieved, and all throughout the universe, right? Entropy and chaos reign. That's just the way that the universe works. So finding balance is defying the law of the universe. Like there just isn't, balance just doesn't exist in nature very, very often. A true balance is always one extreme pushing over on another one. And so that is something that I've focused on as I watched you struggle with that very same topic. It's like, man, I got to figure out how to have a social life, how to have a relationship, and how to grow this business, which is like raising a child. It's like birthing a child is, it's the closest thing a man will get to childbirth is building a business. I think, that's there's no pain like it. There's no give or ask as big as, these businesses ask of a person's mind, body and spirit. And so, yeah, man, it's a journey, and it is an undertaking, but balance is the most important thing, because you'll burn yourself out, and then you will not produce the results that you wanted or that you were looking for in your business.
That's good. I mean, and I think I appreciate the way that you broke it down, like with balance not existing and then still bringing it back to, we still got to take care of ourselves. We got to find a way to do all of the other things to make sure that we don't burn out, to make sure that we're able to reach the goals. I mean, because what good is it to do all of this work, put all this energy into building something, and then never enjoy the fruit of the labor? That's one of the things that I've watched people do time and time again. So how do you feel, or how has being exposed to business early shaped the way that you think about money and ownership?
So, I think a better way of answering that question is to say, like, what was my first business? My first business was filling my book bag with candy and stuff from Publix and Sam's Club, and going to sell candy at school. Following that, it diverged from me just saying, "Hey, I want money," right? To what do I like to do? I like t-shirts, I like clothes, and to doing my first little boutique clothing line in high school, and then building to where I am today. So seeing business early made my relationship with money was not great, and that is another side effect of business. It's not all rainbows and gumdrops, right? Money to me changed the way that my attitude was. It changed my temperament. It changed what I was willing to take and not take. Um, and if I didn't have it, I was irritable. I was just really a pain to be around. I didn't want to talk to nobody. A girl can't get me to smile if I don't got no money. Like, I don't want to go out. I want to go out. I want to get you. I don't want to see you. I ain't got no money. All the way to understanding money in percentages and not dollars and cents.
Okay, that's good. That's good. Understanding, and I'm gonna come back to ownership because I don't want to get off topic, but understanding money in percentages and not dollars is so powerful. So when we think about the reality of growing and scaling a business, it really happens in percentages. It's not just dollars. Many people equate dollars to success, like revenue streams and things like that. That's only a fraction of it, a percentage of it when you think about business. Now, going through and matriculating through the businesses that you started and things like that, that shaped and molded the way that you saw money. What is it that, and you say it, so I'm trying to get you to say it on here. What is it that money gives that you're attracted to? Because it's not material for you. You tell me all the time that money produces something that you enjoy.
So money produces freedom.
Freedom.
It is
Say it
options.
loud.
Freedom. It is options. Money produces freedom and options, and that is what I'm. That's what my affinity is for money. It is not the material things, not the access to material things. It is the access to an infinite, range of possibilities. Right. It is the I can go left, right, up, down, green, blue. I can do those things. Whereas when you don't have money, your options are very limited. You got left and you got right. Really, essentially. And so that is what draws me to money, and that is why I want the to see the levels of success that I aspire to see, because I want the options. I want the freedom.
Right. And so even let's just dig a little bit deeper, because this is a network full of believers, people that believe the Bible and believe scripture. And Deuteronomy 8:18 says that God gives us power to obtain wealth. But when we look at that, that's why we have the desire to have it, because he's given us the power. And so the things that are internal are manifest externally, because we are created in his likeness and in his image. And him giving us the power to obtain wealth, he taught us a very important thing about ownership. And the world system uses what we have as a tool, the Bible, to create their own systems to manipulate and intimidate and control. We're not going to go down that dirt path tonight, but I want to
Yeah.
talk about the fact that they utilize the word of God to convey a message that people oftentimes miss. It was always the setup of God that we would own, that we would control everything and own nothing. And that's one of the things that was said by J.D. Rockefeller. But let's bring it home. The ownership piece of it, you learn to be a steward over what you had. So one of the things that we don't talk about often is that, you as my children are all entrepreneurs, all successful, all doing amazing things. You all either had a business, started a business, or have the possibility of going back to one. Let's leave it there. But what do you understand about ownership? How has it shaped your mind growing up in a house where you saw um, two parents work and one building a business at the same time? How did it shape your mind when it came to ownership and more or less owning that time that you love so much?
Yeah. I mean, so having two parents work and us still not necessarily having the space, or there's a lot of people in that house, right? Not necessarily having the space that we needed, or the different things that you know even I have today that maybe at a younger age I needed. Told me that ownership was the real way, right? Like working a job does not equal the levels of success that I aspire to reach, right? Like that's not gonna do it, right? That's not gonna give my kids the options that I want them to have. It's not gonna give them the house I want them to have, because I did watch two of my parents work, and one of them also be an entrepreneur outside of that, and the inability to put as much into her ideas, and whether it was a radio show or a television show, and these different things um stopped her from being who she was supposed to be at that space and that time. And so we didn't have the options that we maybe could have had if she was given the ability and access to foster the gifts that God gave her, so that she could grow her business. Because when the scripture says He gave us the ability to obtain wealth, or the power to obtain wealth, what will that power be? That could be your ability to sing. That could be your ability to do hair, your ability to speak, your ability to act. All of these different abilities and gifts that are without repentance are for us to gain that wealth. And just, because everybody on the call is believers, if we understand that the analogies that the creator uses is always a kingdom. A kingdom is
Yes,
usually a place that wealth resides, right? When that wealth resides in a kingdom, but kingdoms also have slums. So we who are believers, understanding that choose what part of the kingdom you want to hedge your bets on, right? Do you want to be a part of the kingdom where there is wealth and there is splendor and there's gold and there is diamonds, or do you want to be a part of the kingdom where there is slums? And choosing belief, faith, and works will decide what part of the kingdom you land on.
that's good. So now in building your own, that's really good. I appreciate that. And I have to go back to it. So as I'm learning more to interview and not be the interviewee, I want to
Mm,
I want to go back to that. You said something so powerful that we're in a kingdom, and a
mm,
kingdom is where wealth resides. It tickles me when I think about the guy singing where the money resides, but the money resides in the kingdom. And the Bible tells us clearly that the earth is the Lord and the fullness thereof, and they that dwell therein. Everything belongs to God, and because it's His, and because we're His children, we're heirs to everything. We have the power. We just have to tap into it. And I think a lot of times people don't tap into it because of fear. They're either afraid of succeeding or afraid of the instability that business can bring.
mhm,
Right? Because business can be unstable because it all falls on you.
mhm.
The increase and the decrease in business falls on leadership. So now that you're building your own business, what lessons that you've learned, because you've already touched on some of them, are you applying, and what are you choosing to do differently?
So the biggest thing that I'm choosing to do differently this go around is I've been more strict with um, how I let my interpersonal relationships affect my business. Because I had interpersonal relationships with a lot of the members of my business, whether it was we were friends first or otherwise, or just siblings or whatever it is, I let a lot of stuff slide, right? I let a lot of stuff that shouldn't have existed exist in my business and almost like a cavity, because I'm like, okay, I love this person. It's sweet, 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 and the sugar's eating up the tea. And then
Mhm.
other members of my business would say, "Hey, Ray, this shouldn't exist this way, or this shouldn't be this way." But because I have some sort of affection for the person, or we have relation, blood, or otherwise, um, I'm letting it slide, right? And that does hurt your business, and that's one of the dangers of having family members or people that you care about in your business. So what I've learned this year is to be able to say, "Hey, like, yo, we'll go get wings and drinks at a bar, anytime you want. But maybe in business, you don't belong in this space with me, right now at this point in time."
That's so powerful, and that is a great expression of growth. That shows that you have learned some valuable lessons, even in watching, because you saw me build a huge business with the wrong person, and in doing so, it affected a lot of the relationships in our family dynamic, in our household, like at large, like everybody, not one person. Not even in 6 degrees of separation was not affected by that, but to see all of the things and all of the pieces start to come back together and things be rebuilt, I think that it's important to know that you've gotten to that point where you say, okay, everybody can elevate, but some people have to elevate at a different time, and they can't elevate with you. They all can't be on the same path with you, because most of the time when we are going up, we're basically trying to take somebody and all their luggage with us
Mhm.
because of an interpersonal relationship that we have with them. And guys, everybody listen, I'm telling you right now, like, that's the hardest thing, and you have to shake it. You've got to move, and you got to determine who can be on this train, and you got to kind of like compartmentalize people and make sure that certain people you're going to do business with, other people you're not. Some are going to be in it for the long haul. So I want to get the opportunity to talk to you about your business. So I got just a couple of more questions I want to hit with you. What does generational wealth mean to you? Not just financially, but in how you live and how you lead. How is the thought of generational wealth affecting what you're doing at this point?
The thought of generational wealth keeps me up at night, right? Keeps my mind racing and running and all the different avenues and opportunities to obtain it, because I think that money is essential to live a certain standard of life. The old idiom for me is get as much money as you can, get out of everybody's way. Um, so when I think generational wealth, I think my ability and my children's ability and their children's ability to be out of the way of society and its ebbs and flows. I've never been one to follow the trends. I've never been one to walk to the beat of anybody else's drum. And I want the rest of my family to be follow that same thought process and be individuals and to follow the things that they think are right in the compass that they're given.
I love that. And I appreciate that. You tell me all the time, okay, mama, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And I appreciate that as a young man because you've seen all of the things. And what's amazing about what we call the struggle or the things that we've gone through in the life that we live coming to up until this point is that we really didn't have it as bad as some people even have
Mhm.
it right now. And we're able to continue to build because of the knowledge that God has given us, the power, the gifts, the talents. And what I love about this crew that I've raised, this crew that's around me, is that every talent is tapped into. If it's drawing, if it's designing, if it's singing or dancing, or if it's being charismatic, if it's speaking, you guys have tapped into it. So, what would you say to other young people? And I didn't tell people that you're 30 years old, and you guys heard him start his entrepreneur journey, much like his mommy in at a very young age in high school. I must have been 18 when I started my first business. In doing so, what would you say to other young people? Because you guys have had a lot of access to knowledge that if I had the access, I think about what I would have done if I had known what I know now. Um, what would you say to other young people who have access to knowledge or opportunity but just aren't taking action?
I would tell them find a mentor, man. I had access to so much knowledge and things that way, but I had no mentoring. I had nobody like looking out and saying, "Hey, Ray, that's a scam," or "Hey, Ray, that's gonna be a dead end job," or "Hey, Ray, this that." Right? I had no mentor. Who I try to be to people that I meet or that I'm close to is try to be some sort of mentoring or some sort of guidance because it's there's a lot of information. There's a lot of avenues to making money. There's somebody screwing the light bulbs in on the street lights that's making money. Like there's money everywhere around you. But if you don't have a proper mentor to show you kind of how to get it and manage it, then even if you make a lot of it, you won't keep it long. So I think having a mentor is super, super essential. And I encourage every person, young or old, to get one.
Awesome. So, in that, you're building a business right now. Tell us, before we talk about the business that you're building right now, tell us about the other creative things that bring wealth or that bring money to your hand. When we talk about having the power to obtain wealth, we talk about tapping in and using the gifts and the talents, the works of your hands. Tell the audience about the things that you do.
So I design full time now. So I design wedding dresses and suits for and prom during the season, and I design streetwear for clients as well. So if they come in and they want a streetwear brand, I help design and assist them with the launching of their streetwear brand. Outside
Okay,
of
and
that,
you go ahead.
sorry. Outside of that, my biggest project right now is to establish a functioning courier service here in Fort Lauderdale for medical supplies, devices, specimens, organs, and body parts.
Okay, so he got ahead of himself, and I know he probably thinks that he can't tell you guys about talent over clout, but you can tell them about
Oh yes,
what you have a lot of gifts and
there's
talents.
so much. Oh my God, Talent of a Cloud was born when I was in college because I was, throwing parties and, when it comes to parties, artists in Miami are a big part of that because there's always a rapper or a singer who wants to perform. So I would put the bridge together, right? So I would have the DJs and the venues and stuff like that, and then I would grab the artists and have them perform. Here in Miami, we have what's called Artist Showcase, and I saw a problem, which was that when you have an artist showcase you have all these artists on the lineup. They bring their friends and family, but their friends and family don't spend no money. They wait for the artist to perform and then they leave. And so what I started doing was creating parties and events where we only had one performance act during the event, and it would work in a seamless manner where it wouldn't be announced. We're not saying your name, what your Instagram is, or anything like that. We would just play the song, and if the crowd responded, we would allow them to go up and to perform. Um, just to make a really, really long story short, I found three artists that I really believed in, built a relationship with, and then worked on getting them towards deals. And once I was done working with artists, I began picking up DJs and managing them as well. So Talent Over Cloud is a management company and a event, tastemaking and curating business.
Okay, so now tell them in detail about Rapid RX. Tell them what is happening with Rapid, because you're saying attempting to build, guys. It's already structured. The bones are there.
Yeah, the bones are there, right?
So tell the audience what you're looking, what you're doing, what you're looking for. You never know who's listening.
So yeah, so Rapid RX is my project, right? So what does that mean? I'm Mary Shelley, and I'm putting these elements together, and getting ready to bring it to life, right? So Rapid RX as a courier service requires contracts, and so now that I built the skeleton and got the rules and regulations and the certifications, we are just bidding for contracts for both government and local businesses contracts. That's so that we can move uh, emergency medical supplies and things like that for their particular facilities, whether it's a private practice for a nursing office or all the way up to large hospitals and prisons.
All right. So in week 2 at the Prosperity Blueprint, we're talking in the second week of every month, we're going to be talking about relationships and business and how those dynamics intertwine. Tell the people, because you're my son, tell the
Mhm.
people how the relationship, the family dynamic, how it is important in a positive light, how it brings about change and how it helps direction when you are working on certain things. And you guys say I'm bossy, but I want to talk about the advantage of having a bossy business mother.
The advantages of having a bossy business mother. Um, no kidding. But so I haven't experienced maybe what my siblings have experienced in the sense that because I'm always just I'm always kind of doing my own thing. I haven't
I have
experienced
to
like
slow you down.
yeah, I haven't experienced like bossy business mother like maybe my sisters have because I've yeah, I mean I haven't necessarily had that experience. For
I'm
me, it's been more of like chasing you down because I got a bunch of questions. Um, Rather than you being on my back is it's just because I'm just that's just how I am. I'm kind of self driven. I don't really require like somebody else to put a battery. I'm really self driven. So it's me. Oh, I don't like Paydex. Like I didn't know how to develop and put together a Paydex for the business. So I'm yeah middle of the day, so 2 o'clock in the morning or 5 a.m. whatever the time it is. I'm like, hey, how do I do this? Like more than you having to come get me, really.
Right. So I said I have to slow you down. And then you said
Mhm.
chasing after me. So I'm trying to get you to bring about the dynamic. Guys, I want you to understand that you're talking to somebody that if I was a guy, I'd be him. And if he was a woman, he'd be me. That kind of thing.
Yeah,
He is the one with the most, probably the, I don't know, probably the closest fabric to my being when it comes to business as anybody else. He's the one that's going to have multiple irons in the fire at once.
yeah,
You just heard it because Talent Over Cloud is still running. You're designing prom suits and prom dresses, wedding suits and wedding dresses right now, all at the same time while building a um a medical courier service. And guys, this I'm telling you, this is the fabric of my life, and that's why I wanted him to come here and be here with the prosperity blueprint on the second week of this month, because you you can't do anything without each other. That's one. And then two, it's not just about being an example. There are some things that are woven into who you are and into your being. It's in your DNA. And I want to say that he's an example of that. If there are times where I meet him in the hallway and I'm like, hey, I haven't seen you, haven't seen
Yeah.
you. And we have a house that we operate in an office. I'm never at the office. He's there, and we just don't see each other. And it's more of that because he is my twin. And he is the one that is going to build it. He's going to watch it grow and keep it moving. So before we get off of here, first of all, I want to say thank you for taking the time because it is late in the evening. But thank you for taking the time to be on the Prosperity Blueprint to share your mother with the world and to share your insight on not only being my son but being the person that is going to represent the young people and help them to get to the next level. Tell everybody how to find you. How can they locate you? Where your platform's at? Give them your email address to your business.
Yeah. So on Instagram it is TOCCEO Raw, and pretty much anywhere, Rah Whitehead. You can find me on LinkedIn as well. You can find RapidRx on LinkedIn, or you can visit us at rapidrxsolutions.com. If you want to email me, it is R, as in Robert, Whitehead, CEO at rapidrxsolutions.com.
All right. So again, thank you for being here. And before we get off, I want to do our Let's Be Honest segment. Let's be honest. This is where we bring it home every week. Let's just be honest. Generational wealth isn't just about what we leave behind, it's all about what we're willing to build together. No man is an island, no one person can do it on their own. And one of the
Mhm.
most valuable lessons that I learned in building, you heard it from somebody that watched it happen, is that you cannot do everything yourself. You've got to have people, systems, automations, things in place that are going to help you to not only take your ideas and bring them to life, but to create a structure that's unbreakable. So, Rah Whitehead has been my guest tonight. He is the CEO of Rapid RX Solutions. You can find him on Instagram, you can find him on LinkedIn. Check him out. Check out all the businesses, the profiles that he's building. You don't want to miss what this young man is doing. So, Rod, thank you again for being here. We appreciate you. And we look forward to talking to you again, maybe on the next thing that you're going to build once this is off and running.
Yes,
God bless you and
yes,
thank you
yes.
for being here.
All right, guys. Thank you for having me. Have a great night.
Thank you for watching the James H. Glover Studios exclusive episode. We pray you've been blessed. Please like, follow, share, and subscribe to all of our stations. Be blessed.
If you would like to be a guest on the Prosperity Blueprint or Dating While Anointed, click the link. You will go to the link and make an appointment. That is your pre screening for the podcast. Set an appointment time with me. Come and talk to me behind the scenes so that you can have the interview that is going to speak to who you are as an individual. Join me on the Prosperity Blueprint or Dating While Anointed. We'll see you around on the James H. Glover Studios.